All right, it is a road trip time. Me and my boy Anthony Jones. Say hello.
What's up, cousins?
We are headed to Illinois to go to Nate's Custom Boats. I got Project Pocket Rocket back there. Can you see it back there?
No, probably not.
Probably not, but we are going up to Nate's Custom Boats in Illinois, and Project Pocket Rocket is getting a makeover. Send it. If you like Jon Boats, mud motors, and things that make you want to just yell, yeah, yeah, then you've come to the right place, partner. If this is your first time on the channel, make sure you go right down below here, hit that subscribe button and a little bell thingy right next to it so that you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. All right, so we made it to Pekin, Illinois. We are here at
Nate's Custom Boats and Accessories.
Here at
Nate's Custom Boats and Accessories.
He makes all these really cool hatches and stuff for like bass boats. So not only does he make custom hatches here at
Nate's Custom Boats and Accessories.
he also installs them and builds custom boats. And we got Project Pocket Rocket here on the surgery table, ready to get hacked up and get some cool stuff done to it. Actually, I don't think it's on a table at all. It's actually sitting on 2 trash cans. Because that's how we roll at Nate's Custom Boats, right, Nate?
Right?
So after our long 12-hour drive from Georgia to Pekin, Illinois, Nate didn't waste no time and immediately got started ripping into the Project Pocket Rocket. So our overall goal was to add some flotation in the back of the boat as well as some stability. This boat is only like 9.5 foot long and it's about 32 inches wide in the back. So we wanted to add what would look kind of like a hunt deck, but not really be a hunt deck, just one giant float pod on the back. And then also add some side-to-side stability by adding some side pods. So the first thing we got to work on was this hunt deck looking giant monstrous float pod on the back. So Nate immediately got to work bending up this giant float pod hunt deck thing on the back of the boat. We used 2 separate pieces and kind of bend them together to make this shape. And I have to give it to Nate. That man is an absolute workhorse. And the shop wound up looking a lot like a construction site most of the time we were there. One guy working while the rest of us leaned up against something and watched him work. But at least I felt a little useful. I got to like hold Sharpies and, you know, put stuff in place, and that made me feel great. And of course, Anthony was a great supervisor.
Looks good, guys. Good work.
After everything was all bent up, Nate tacked everything into place and we got our final shape done, test fit everything to make sure it worked, and then he sent me on my way with the welder. Now, if you watched any of my videos before, you know that I am not a professional welder, and I'm pretty sure that baby Jesus saw these welds and told Santa Claus, and I'm probably going to get a grinder for Christmas this year. But I was able to get this thing welded up, and it doesn't leak, so that is a plus. So after a little bit of rest, we were able to get back in the shop the next morning and get to work on welding the actual giant pod sunbathing deck onto the back of the boat. And Nate's welding expert, Mr. Summers, was able to get that thing welded on the back of the boat, and it looked phenomenal. And in typical guy fashion, we gave Mr. Dimestack Dave, Mr. Summers, so much hell while we were there. I am surprised that poor man does not need therapy, but nevertheless, he did get it welded on the back of the boat, and it looked awesome. So while old Dimestack Dave was welding on the giant thing on the back of the boat, we went to work on these little side pods. Now, I'm not going to get into a whole lot of detail on these side pods, and I'll explain why in just a little bit, but basically what I wanted to do was just add some width to the back of the boat. Thought it would be kind of cool. I've seen Anthony do it. He did some smaller ones on his boat. We took a couple of pieces of, I believe it was 090 sheet aluminum, bent them into like a little C, and just kind of made them fit onto the side of the boat. And then of course Mr. Summers was back again for more welding. We got those things welded on and everything was done. This thing looks ridiculous but super cool at the same time. So my good buddy Anthony Jones, Mr. A-Dub, when he does his videos, he likes to sit on like a 5-gallon bucket or a cooler, and I never really understood why. So I'm gonna try it out today, but I don't have a 5-gallon bucket or a cooler handy, so I'm gonna try it on the shop vac and see. So you guys just, let me know down in the comments section if you like the sitting shop vac view. So we made it back from Nate's shop in Illinois, and it is now time to test out old Project Pocket Rocket with its dual whale tail flipper hunt deck thing. I don't know what we're calling this thing, but this giant thing on the back of the boat. Now it's time to test it out. So the owner of Freedom Wood was nice enough to come out and help me the day that we decided to go down to the river and test old Pocket Rocket out. So we got out there, and the very first thing that I noticed is I'll put a picture up first of Project Pocket Rocket sitting with no float pods on the back, no hunt deck, no nothing special, but it's sitting with the 13 horsepower motor on the back. Now compare it to this picture of the float pods installed, this big whale tail hunt deck thing on the back, and with a 22 horsepower motor, which is only about 50 to 70 pounds heavier, it was not sitting up as much as I thought it was going to. So that was surprise number one. I really expected the back end of this boat to be sitting out of the water a lot higher than it was, but it still floated. Nothing was leaking, so I was like, well, we're gonna send it. So the second thing I noticed was that after getting in the boat, going from like 32 to 36 inches wide all the way out to 51 inches wide, just here in the back made a massive difference in the amount of stability. I could actually get in the boat and rock it side to side. I didn't feel like I was gonna, go take a swim. It was actually very stable. I was surprised at how much stability it added to the back of the boat. So I jumped in a boat, headed away from the boat dock, and got a little ways away, kind of giving myself a second to see how it was handling, see how everything was going. The first thing I noticed was in the maybe 15 to 17 mile an hour range, which was not but about a quarter throttle on this motor. Water was coming around the side of the pod, was going up the side of the pod, up the side of this hunt deck, and going up and over. It was like creating this huge rooster tail, and then it was going into the back of the boat, and that was where I really started taking on water. So once the water level in the boat got to about an inch or so, I started thinking, I was like, well, I never heard Bobby Boucher's mama say that water was the devil, so let's just keep sending it. So I gave the old throttle handle a good squeeze and let it rip tater chip, and I only got to about 22 miles an hour according to the GPS before I started having two really big issues. Issue number one was at about 20 to 22 miles an hour. The prop was starting to come up out of the wake. Basically where the two wakes were coming off the back of the boat was going so far back behind the prop was actually resting in that kind of unsettled, crazy water back in this area, and it just couldn't find a good spot to sit, and the prop kept wanting to pop out. So I did all the usual stuff, bent the skeg, tried putting the planing tabs on, tried a bunch of different props, and nothing was really helping. It was just where the prop was riding at. It needed to be a lot further back. A 100-inch shaft is the longest shaft that I had today, so there was really nothing else that I could do other than just muscle it up and try to hold on to it. So I gave it a few more tries at full send, just muscled up on that handle as hard as I could, tried to keep the prop in the water, and there was absolutely nothing that I could do. The prop was just going to continue over torquing and trying to pop out the side, and eventually I almost took a swim. The prop was pulling the handle out of my hand so quick when it went to pop like that I kind of lost balance a little bit, and it was almost bad. The other issue I ran into was with my 10-inch prop, and I had some torque roll problems. And I didn't know this was a thing with Jon Boats or that it could even happen, but what I had on there was a 100-inch shaft, 10-inch prop. I would get rolling about 18 to 20 miles an hour, and I could feel the entire boat start to rotate kind of clockwise, which was causing me to, kind of lean over and ride real funky. So I stepped to my left to kind of counterbalance it so that the boat would ride nice and flat. Well, that was all fine and good until the prop went to go rip out of the water and it pulled my handle. Well, now the boat's unbalanced because there's no more torque roll on it, and I'm standing off to one side. So the first thing that happened was I lose my balance and almost took a nice little swim. But there was just really nothing that was going to help today. The only thing I can do at this point is hack off these whale tail side mount float pods and try it again with just the big hunt deck on the back and see what happens. And we still got to see if it floats. I'm not 100% sure that it is going to float enough with just this hunt deck on the back, but we'll see. Only one way to find out. We got to send it. Now, the side pod seemed in my head like it was going to be a great idea, but that's what this channel is all about. We're going to experiment with things that most people are not willing to do, or people have thought about, or I've thought about, and we're going to test it out. So even though we were all a little skeptical of the side pods and wanted to know how they would work, for stability, they ran great. But the only way to figure out how things really work in life is if you just freaking send it and see what happens. Now, we probably could have moved the pods back further so that it wasn't shooting water up into the boat, but the big issue is it slowed the boat down. I have already filmed a speed test video on this boat without the float pods, and I'm not going to tell you everything that happened, but I will tell you that it was faster with a smaller motor with no side mount pods. So we're just going to say this side mount pod experiment was giant epic fail. Now, if you were looking to add stability in a low-speed boat that maybe was going to be with a small electric motor or a trolling motor, something along those lines, it would probably work out just fine, and you wouldn't have to worry about taking on a whole lot of water. But anything above about 15 miles an hour, would not recommend side float pods at all. This edition of the Haters Corner is brought to you in part by Camouflage Duct Tape and Haterade. Haterade's been helping keep the internet keyboard warriors and haters hydrated since a long time. If you're not familiar with the Haters Corner segment, what we like to do is stand in a corner and see who was the most butthurt in the comments section over the last couple weeks. And of course, to protect their identities, because we know people are sensitive, we just call them Scooter. So Scooter decided to comment on my float pod video where we riveted some float pods on the back of the boat. If you haven't seen the video, I'll link it right up here. But he decided to comment, I would have welded it. Well, if Scooter would have been paying attention to the video, I went into a very long, drawn out, and detailed explanation at the beginning of the video saying that this was an experiment. We're trying something different by not welding them on, because that's what everybody does. That's the whole point of an experiment, and doing a video on it is so that we can try something new. But apparently Scooter was not happy that I decided to try something new, so we'll hope that Scooter finds happiness and maybe he can ride a unicorn off into the sunset and find somewhere else to go comment, because obviously he's not paying attention to the videos. And Scooter number 2 decided to comment on my video titled Why I Like Mud Motors, which if you haven't seen it, I'll link it right up here. But basically I just sat down and kind of gave an explanation of why I liked mud motors and what I like about them and, you know, all that kind of good stuff. So Scooter number 2 decided to comment, would have rather seen you installing and operating instead of trash talking others. So like I just explained, and I explained in that video, the whole point of the video was for me to talk about why I like mud motors. There was no intention for it to be an operating video. There was no intention for it to ever be an installation video. And I don't know why you would click on a video that says why I like mud motors expecting to see me installing and operating a mud motor, because that's not what the title of the video was. If I wanted to install and operate a mud motor, the title of the video would have been how to install and operate a mud motor. And to further address his comment, instead of trash talking trash talkers, I am assuming that what he is referring to is the comment that I made in that video that I was working on doing a 3-way mud motor review between the 3 longtail companies, and I made a comment in that video saying that there was a lot of biased reviews out there and none of them really focused on any facts. It was, you know, just a bunch of people and their opinions, which apparently Scooter took as me trash talking, and I wasn't trash talking. I was just making a statement and voicing my opinion, just like old Scooter did here on my comment section. But whatever. Here's to you both, Scooter 1 and 2. Want to give a huge shout out to our channel sponsors, Freedom Lube. Thank you guys very much for coming out and helping film the video and for providing the boat for Project Pocket Rocket. Also a huge shout out and thanks to the good folks and the crew over at
Nate's Custom Boats and Accessories!
All those guys worked their butts off the entire weekend we were up there trying to get Pocket Rocket done, and it turned out awesome. It was great meeting everyone. I had an absolute blast and cannot wait to go back again because we got a lot more in store for the future. But I definitely will not be going back until there's no more snow, because Illinois and snow and cold and wind, I'm pretty sure I almost got frostbite on my mangina, and that's just, we're not doing that anymore. Sorry. So we'll go back in the summertime. Now we're going to roll those bloopers here for you in just a second. But first, let us always remember, money can't buy happiness, but it can buy you a boat. Bye, guys.
I think you're stuck, honey. I think you're stuck.
I am stuck.
Behind the scenes look at what goes down at Nate's Custom Boats and Accessories and how he fabricates his famous. In this video, we're going to give you an exclusive behind the scenes look at what goes down at Nate's Custom Boats and Accessories and how he fabricates his famous all aluminum dry hatches. I'm going to work on a couple hatches for my personal project, the Top Gun Portage on, show you how Custom Boats and Accessories. In this video, we're going to give you.
Nope. Damn, I was about to walk over on that side. Not now. I can smell it over here.
What did you feed me?
And it doesn't smell like a Georgia peach, trust me.
Does it smell like Kentucky?
A little bit outside of the state of Georgia and made our way up north to the frozen tundras of Pekin, Illinois to visit my good.
Now I got out of this thing.
Now that should be on the video.
Yeah, push me.
That definitely needs to be on the video.
That was way worse than the gas.
How the hatches. In this video, we're going to give you a behind the scenes look of how.
Is it recording now? Do you have it? It's recording?
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
Is it? Are you sure? Okay.
Hey, for anybody interested in these custom float pods for this Tracker 1036, contact Nate at Nate's Custom Boats and Accessories. No longer in East Peoria, now in Peking. Like the Chinese restaurant.
What is that a bolt? Eh, I found a ball joint. This is my favorite part of being a YouTuber. I actually get to drink Haterade at work, and it's like 8 o'clock in the morning.